Hey guys, this is Brian from the Meat Cutting Academy, and in today's episode we're going to be doing a deep dive video on how to cut a whole top sirloin into its separate muscle groups. Now this particular cut of meat is great for the either keto dieters, the carnivore dieters, anybody wanting to save money on some steaks by cutting it yourself at home. And you can save upwards of $1 or $2 per pound, so it makes a lot more sense cutting up steaks like this at home and saving a ton of money. So with that out of the way, let's get right into cutting this piece of meat. All right guys, before we get started, always wear your cutting glove when you're dealing with meat. In this video, I'm not going to use one. I've been cutting for a long time and I just choose not to. I just wanted to throw a disclaimer out there for you guys, just in case you're new to cutting and you don't know about proper safety. Definitely be picking one of those up. These run about $25 and up on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description for you guys so you know where to find it. So in a lot of meat departments, what they'll do is they'll take this whole piece of meat, leaving the culotte cap on here, and they'll cut the whole thing into steaks. I don't like that because the problem is that the grain of the culotte cap is facing in a different direction. So when you cook this up, you're going to get some cuts of meat that are tougher than others. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys how to part this thing out. So first, what I want to do is trim off all of this silver skin right here. Just come in and get your knife underneath that silver skin and kind of push up like that. Put our trim material aside here. What we're going to do is take off all of this fat right here and then take off this bone skin. A lot of people confuse bone skin and silver skin. So this right here is going to be bone skin. This is what connects the piece of meat to the bone itself. And what I just got done cutting off, that was silver skin. So we're going to be taking this fat off right here, kind of coming up underneath, pushing with your knife forward, taking off as little meat as you can. And this takes some practice. I've been doing this for a little while. But don't get discouraged here. So now we're going to come take off this bone skin. You can come up underneath with the point of your knife. Actually, I'm still in frame here. Stick it underneath this bone skin and then kind of push up with your knife and then cut that off. And you're left with a nice clean surface with little meat. Okay, you can just do that all the way down. It takes a really sharp knife to be able to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be taking off way too much meat. And some of this like that's not going to bother me. You can leave that on there. Some people are really picky and take all that off. Okay, now that to me is pretty good. So now what we're going to do is take off our top sirloin cap or culotte. It's also referred to as a picanha, this piece of meat right here. What you want to do when you're cutting this is kind of pull it apart, and when it stops, when you feel resistance, start kind of nicking a little bit at these connective tissues. And this is about separated. So you can see where the fat is running right here, where the meat separates. So this is right where the meat separates, right here. And then you're left with this fat that connects it. So what you can do is just come in here, cut that fat right off, bypassing all that meat. And so we'll start with the culotte. Let's trim this up here, and we want to take off all the fat on this side. This side we're going to be leaving the majority of the fat on. You definitely want to leave at least 1/8 of an inch to no more than 1/4 inch of fat. Depends on the person. That's kind of personal preference though. I don't like mine too fatty because after I'm cooking it, I'm going to be trimming a lot of it off anyway. But it does help with the cooking process, adding more flavor to your meat. It's good there. Now I'm kind of going slow because I want you guys to be able to, sometimes if you go too fast, you're not going to learn as much because you have to stop and rewind. And so now we're just kind of taking the silver skin off. There's a couple layers. I like to take off this top layer first. Oh, well, it didn't quite work out, but then you can come back under like we did before. like that, and then kind of push your knife up and forward, and then you're taking off very little meat. We got a little bit there, but that's not too bad. And you want to do that on the picanha up till about, there's a little seam right here, you can kind of see where it stops right there. You want to just cut it right to that point. Right there, that's about good. That's plenty clean enough. You don't really need it much cleaner than that. And honestly, this is about ready to go just as it is. So some of this fat is a little bit heavy right here, in my opinion, so we're going to be trimming some of that off, not all of it. And you could do this in light passes. You don't want to go too deep. Okay. And I have videos on cooking the picanha on my smoker. So if you guys are interested in that, I will put a link up in the corner of the video screen. If you're watching this on your computer, you can see that and click on it. Otherwise, I will put it down in the description so you can take a look for yourself. And I do have other top sirloin cutting videos. I do have another top sirloin video that I'll put also in the description. So what we're doing here now is we're going to be taking this fat cap off right here, and you can sometimes leave this on here if you're going to be cutting this whole piece of meat into steaks because it just adds nice flavor when you're cooking it. But in this case, I'm going to take this off. Just kind of come underneath the meat right here and then push like that. That way you're not digging into the meat, you're kind of coming up underneath and pushing. Okay. Got that off there. Pretty minimal waste, only a little bit of meat right there. It's not bad at all. And you can even use this and render it down and use that to cook with later. So we're going to be taking this little piece off right here. And honestly, the silver skin in this, once we cut these up into steaks, it's going to be pretty unnoticeable. So I'm just really going to leave a lot of this on here. There's really no need to take any of this silver skin right here off. I might take a little bit of this fat off. But otherwise, that's clean enough for me, I think. Take this little corner piece off. So now what we're going to be doing is this piece of meat right here is commonly referred to as the mouse steak or the pillow steak. So we're going to be coming up and just get your fingers under here and just kind of separate the meat a little bit. And you can see where the connective tissues are. So you just want to kind of just score it a little bit, peel it back, come up underneath this piece, peel it back. Take your time. There we go. All right. This is a really, really tender cut of meat. Once we get this trimmed up, I'll show you what that's going to look like. On the outer edges right here, you can see where it's connected to a couple pieces of meat right here. So we're going to be separating this. Just kind of cutting and push at the same time, really light pressure. Okay. This you can use for stir fry, or you can just fry this up and use it as like a breakfast steak, which I'll probably wind up doing. I'm not really big into stir fry meat, but we'll just take all this fat off right here to get to the silver skin, and then we'll take that off. Now take your knife again underneath the silver skin, kind of come up, push out, just like that. When you never really want to cut towards yourself. I just did there, I'm holding the meat and I'm really steady with my hand, and it's a fairly short cut, so you typically don't want to do that, so I wouldn't. So come up under here, take this little silver skin off. take that off. Take this off. Okay, this is the part that connected to the top sirloin, so we're gonna come up underneath. Okay. There we go. Pretty minimal waste. I can kind of come up under this side. And that's fairly clean. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's bring our top sirloin back over here. Let's clean this up a little bit so we can see how the muscles separate. Okay. Take off this little bit right here. Okay, so clean this top part up a little bit more, I think. Right here you can see this white piece of fat running through. That's what separates this from this. So we're gonna, you can even take your thumbs, kind of separate it just a little bit. You don't want to dig your fingers into the meat, but just kind of score it and push. Just cut all the way through. And it's going to have this membrane that separated this piece from this piece, so we're going to come up underneath here and just kind of trim that off. And you don't have to be super thorough. You really don't even have to do this. Okay, and that's pretty good enough. That's good enough for me. Okay, now we can do the same with this piece. Okay. There we have our baseball stakes. So now I'm going to switch this knife out for my 10-inch scimitar. So I'm just going to cut this into roughly about 3/4 to 1 inch stakes. All the way down here, and this is a kind of a smaller top sirloin. You can buy bigger ones and get a lot more meals out of it. So we have our part of our top sirloin right here. Nice, beautiful steaks. Now let's do our, and this one actually, you can either leave a hole like this or cut it into steaks, or you can tie this up for roasts. And this piece right here would make an excellent, excellent roast. But I'm just going to be cutting this up into steaks because it's the middle of summer and I really don't want to be cooking a roast in the middle of summer. So let's cut this guy into about the same size as this, about 3/4 to 1 inch. All right, guys, so this is our top sirloin breakdown. So we have our top sirloin right here. We have our bigger steaks. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steaks from that. We've got our baseball steak. We've got about the same amount of baseball steaks, about 8 of them. We've got a picanha. This is also referred to as a culotte or a top sirloin cap. And if, like I said before, if you guys are interested in a really good recipe for a smoker or for like a grill, make sure to check that out in the description. I have a mouse steak or a pillow steak right here, and I have just some meat left over for some stir fry. And I've got about 1 pound worth of trim from all that, which is honestly, it's a lot of silver skin and very little meat trimmings. So You can grind that up into hamburger and utilize that later. And I have about 2 or 3 pounds, maybe about 2 pounds worth of fat you can render down and use that rendered down fat to cook with your culotte steaks or your top sirloin steaks. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If so, please smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe if you feel inclined. Right now, about 90% of my viewers are not subscribed, and it really helps my channel grow. Right now, I'm at about 1,900 subscribers. I'd really like to see that increase. So if you really get value out of these videos, please let me know down below and subscribe. That's the best way you can help my channel. All right, thanks for watching. I will see you guys on the next video.